Hey everybody, Michael Maskey here. I just wanted to talk to you about a subject that I am an expert on, and that is anxiety. So not only was I a mental health specialist in the Army, I also had the great benefit of going through a whole battery of psychological tests, and one of the tests administered was the MMPI, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Index. And what this does is it's 500 some odd questions, and you can't lie on it because there's a lie scale, and so you just and it's really odd questions like I like motorcycle magazines, but it's one of the most well-respected indexes for personality, and so we took it, and then the instructor that we had at the time. He was a full psychologist, and I remember when we were getting ready to go to lunch one day, and so before I go to lunch, he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, after lunch, will you come see me in the office?" And I was like, "Ooh, yeah, okay." I don't think I made all those faces. I think, "Yes, sir." And so that's how you address them. And then I would move on, and then I would go to lunch. So I'm at lunch with my friends, and we're all in the class with the Army together, and we're talking about whatever we were talking about at the time. And so, but the whole time in my brain, I'm thinking, oh my God, what's gonna happen when I get back? Am I in trouble? Am I failing? Is they da 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 da? And I was in this intense cycle of worry. Well, okay, so fast forward, I walked to his office, said, "Sir, you wanted to see me in your office, sir?" He says, "Sit down." So I sit down, and he says, "I'm reviewing your test results here." And everything was pretty normal, really just baseline stuff. But then the anxiety scale, he says, "You see this here? You cannot score higher than what you score on the anxiety scale for this test. There is statistically nothing higher in the population." He's like, "In fact, I'd like to congratulate you, because typically when I see people that rank up here, they have trouble leaving their house." And so I'm like, whew. And but there was a point where he started, but before he got kind of into things, he was like, "Okay, so when you went to lunch, were you having this thought, this thought, this thought, this thought?" And literally just rattling off these worrisome thoughts. And I was like, oh my God, how did this guy get in my brain? Like, he was literally and it freaked me out. And then I found out I have an anxiety disorder. And then he tells me, he says, "Look, you can take these results and you can go to any psychiatrist, and they'll give you," they'll be like, "Oh, we've got stuff for you." Well, I didn't like that approach at that time, and I came to believe that this thing that sits on top of my head, or on top of my neck here, my head, this thing that sits up here is creating this for me. My thinking is creating my reality. And I'd read it in some books, but then it was really one of those things. It's like, is it possible that this is creating this, and then the feeling, and if I think this, and I have this feeling, and then if I can interrupt that and figure out a way around that, just first being aware that this is what I was living under. And so I've had some experiences that, and through PSI seminars, if you ever want to take any great personal growth and development programs, I hugely recommend PSI seminars. And I have no financial affiliation with that, other than I will tell you, it is, if personal development wise, it's the absolute best that you will get into to transform your life, and to put some of this stuff I'm talking about from sort of an esoteric out there thing to in my life. So kind of a free commercial for them, but like I said, that's I just believe in their program, their process. They have great people that are instructors and facilitators that I'm friends with. So really a great team through there. But this whole piece of beliefs. So as it relates to sort of what goes on for me with my anxiety, and sort of how I've learned to, one, manage it without any of the use, and I've taken them in the past, and they had been prescribed to me as these antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications. And I remember I was going to see my acupuncturist for the very first time I was recommended to him, And he goes, hey, he's asking me the intake stuff, and he goes, what are you here for? I'm like, well, it's anxiety, depression stuff. And he's like, you taking anything? And I told him what I was taking. He's like, why are you here? I'm like, I have anxiety and depression. He's like, so the medication doesn't work. So I didn't get any results, and I really think by and large that stuff's very, very bad, and for most people, because exhaust what I'm about to tell you first before looking to that as a solution, because the people that I know, they never got any relief. They got off the stuff because then all of them got these weird side effects, and usually it was on the sexual side that really threw people off. So it really has an impact as it relates to all of that. So not going to get into all of that here, but needless to say, for the anxiety, for me, learning how much my thinking is causing it. So things like meditation have been wonders and worked wonders and miraculous for me. But my anxiety, there was an activity that we had to do in the Psi seminars. It was our 7-day leadership seminar called Psi 7, or the Life Success course. So, but they have this activity you do on day 5, and there's no weird cult-like stuff because I'm sharing it here without feeling any risk of repercussions. So for all of you conspiracy theorists out there, gotcha. Okay, so I'm about to climb up a telephone pole, and that's why I had to tell you it's not a cult. So I'm about to climb up a telephone pole, at which when I will pull myself up to the top and stand on the top of the telephone pole. So I'm gonna, and it's, 40 feet up in the air, and so there's these, you climb all the way up, and then you pull yourself up, and so you're strapped in, and there's you're actually being held up as well while you're doing this, but it's also kind of a trust thing, because it's the people in your class that are holding you up in the event that you fall in any part of this, because it is a success seminar, and so learning things of success are really critical, and we want to do that in the context of you not dying. So at no point are you worried about death, or maybe you are, but you realize it's sort of a belief that you're gonna have to work through. So I climb all the way up, but my heart is racing, and I just do, and so I pull myself up, and I literally shoot up off the top of the telephone pole, and I just, because I had so much adrenaline going through my body, but what I learned was the anxiety ran me to such a degree that in that moment of things were heightened, and I could just feel all of the emotions I could feel all this emotion in my body, and it was overwhelming to the point where it was almost gonna blow up through my head. But I realized that I moved through experiences really quickly, and instead of just standing there being in the fear, and this is one of the most miraculous things that I learned in personal development for dealing with anxiety. If people struggle with anxiety, is we want to get out of the experience. And one of the things I learned was when the anxiety comes up, and the anxiety is right there, it's in the body, and I can feel that anxiety. What I need to do is I need to be brave. I need to stand. I need to stand in the anxiety and breathe and just be with it. Because there's people with anxiety disorders and anxiety issues, we make up a lot of shit in our head that absolutely never happens. And when I watch the news, I'm like, that's nothing. I can make up way worse shit in my brain. You got nothing on this brain. This brain is practiced in anxiety and making shit up for you to be scared of. I'm a pro. So and I think you can probably hear it in my voice, there was a point where I realized that I wasn't that. I wasn't that thought. So I could sit with it, and then as I sat with that thought and struggled and was scared, terrified in many ways, because when you've got anxiety and it's at a level 10, you want to do anything to get out of that. And right then, this is the key, is you need to sit in that space. You need to breathe in that space of anxiety and become one with it. Because right on the other side of that anxiety and all of that right here, it's joy. It's all joy, baby. It is. That's what's really hard for us with this intense anxiety disorder to really understand and get to the other side of, is to just be with it and just be with it. And I remember when I heard something a long time ago and they said, in these heightened levels of anxiety, whatever the worst fear is, if it's snakes, if it's dying, whatever that is, your body can only physiologically hold up for so long, and then something happens. Surrender. Here it is. This is all the anxiety. It's all the anxiety. And I'm scared. But here's the key. Sit with it. Be with it. Still. In the stillness. Be with it. You're okay. Shift your body. All of a sudden you feel yourself get stronger. Surrender. Joy. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And that's what's possible. And so for those of you that struggle, like I did with things like an anxiety disorder, I really hope this is helpful. And given the level and state of anxiety in the world going on right now, like, I get it, and I'm also like, what the fuck? Like, I do that. Like, can we not on this big scale? So that's a great exercise. Let it roll, and comments below. Comments below, and I'll see you all soon.